A tribute to Norman Wisdom. Sir Norman Joseph Wisdom, OBE, was born on the 4th of February 1915. He was an English actor, comedian and singer-songwriter, best known for a series of comedy films produced between 1953 and 1966, featuring his hapless on-screen character that was often called Norman Pitkin. He was awarded the 1953 BAFTA Award for the most promising newcomer to leading film roles, following the release of Trouble in Store, his first film in a lead role. Wisdom gained celebrity status in lands as far apart as South America, Iran and many Eastern Bloc countries, particularly in Albania, where his films were the only ones by Western actors permitted to be shown. Charlie Chaplin once referred to Wisdom as his favourite clown. Wisdom later forged a career in Broadway in New York as a television actor, winning critical acclaim for his drama role of a dying cancer patient in the television play Going Gently in 1981. He toured Australia and South Africa after the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. A hospice was named in his honour. In 1995 he was given the freedom of the city of London and of Tirana. The same year he was given the OBE and was knighted 5 years later.
When he went to get his honour, Prince Philip met him, and everyone's waiting in this big room, you see, waiting for the Queen to appear, and Prince Philip came over to him and said, "Hello, Norman, how are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, thank you, sir, I'm fine," and one thing and another. Then all of a sudden there was this, you know, the trumpet going off. And Norman said, "What's that?" And Prince Philip said, "Oh, that'll be the Queen." And Norman said, "Bloody hell, she can't half play that trumpet, can she?"
Norman Joseph Wisdom was born in the Marylebone district of London. His parents were Frederick, a chauffeur, and Maud, a dressmaker, who often worked for the West End theatres and had made a dress for Queen Mary. The couple married in Marylebone on the 15th of July 1912. Wisdom had an older brother, Frederick. The family lived at 91 Fernhead Road, Maida Vale, London West 9, where they slept in one room. He and his brother were raised in extreme poverty, and were frequently hit by their father.
I remember walking to school with sometimes no shoes and no socks on, bare feet, but the kids used to do that in those days. And he didn't leave us any money to buy any food with, or didn't leave any food either. And so my brother and I used to have to go up to Harrow Road, where they used to put the grocery and stuff outside the shops on display in those days anyway. And we used to nick food. My parents were divorced and split up when I was 9, and my dear brother was 11. My father was a chauffeur, and when mother left home, he was brutal. I can remember being cheeky, a little bit cheeky perhaps sometime, and he picked me up and threw me like that, and I hit the ceiling and then came down in the corner. I hit the ceiling, and then he just walked out and left me there. My mother used to come and see myself and my brother at school, and after school sometimes, just come and see us, about once a month or something like that. But one Christmas day, she bought me a bicycle. It was a fairy cycle. And I went home, I was so delighted with this, so excited. And my father said, what's that? I said, it's a fairy cycle, Dad. He said, where'd you get that? I said, Mum gave it to me. He grabbed it out of my hand and stomped and stomped and stomped, smashed it to bits.
After a period in a children's home in Deal, Kent, Wisdom ran away when he was 11, but returned to become an errand boy in a grocer's shop on leaving school at 13.
He opened the door, came in, just looked at me and said, out. And he opened the door and I went out, and I remember I walked down the steps just in front of the door, walked down the steps, and he slammed the door, and I turned around and I said, I'll never see you again, Dad. And I never did. And that's why I went down, and I was sleeping behind the Marshall Foch statue at Victoria Station, and I used to go to a coffee stall which was open all night, and I used to go about 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning and just look over the shelf. And the coffee stall attendant used to push me a hot pie and a cup of bottle. He'd spoken to me. I told him the state I was in, and he was just sorry for me. And this went on for about 7, 8, 9 nights, until one night he said to me, why don't you join the army? You can get into the army in the band as a boy. In the afternoon I had an interview with the bandmaster who said to me, you'd like to be in the band, would you? And I said, oh, yes, please. So he said, you know all about music? I said, oh, yes, sir. And he said to me, what's a flat? And I said, I don't know that one, sir. He said, well, what's a sharp? And I said, I haven't come across that one either, sir. And he just looked at me and he said, you don't know anything about music, do you? And I knew that he was just going to say, go on, get out, forget it. And I put on, I can assure you, the best act I've ever done in my life, whether it be the London Palladium or films or whatever. I looked at that man and I said, oh, sir, I don't know anything about music. I'd like a chance to learn. Please, sir. Then I can make something of myself as I grow up. And I'm not kidding. That man looked at me and he said, all right, I'll take you. And he was crying, I'd won.
Wisdom first enlisted into the King's Own Royal Regiment, but his mother had him discharged as he was underage. He later re-enlisted as a drummer boy in the 10th Royal Hussars of the British Army. In 1930 he was posted to Lucknow in the United Provinces of British India as a bandsman. There he rode horses, became a flyweight boxing champion of the British Army in India, and learned to play the trumpet and clarinet.
I was put on clarinet, and because it takes you a couple of years to learn the clarinet properly, but then the band used to sing sea shanties. Hey, hey, chicka chicka in the jaunting. I won't carry on with that.
It was quite nice.
All right then. And they used to do that for troop concerts and all that. And I said to the bandmaster one day, excuse me, so I said, why is it nobody sings the solos when you're doing the sea shanty? He said, we haven't got anybody who sings this. I said, oh yes. He said, really? Well, let me hear you. So I sang a little old Jack Buchanan number. You must say yes to Mr. Brown. And so the very next troop concert, I was out singing You Must Say Yes and Hey Hey Jiggy Jiggy and the joint, all that stuff. But I had to be in the front line, you know, because you couldn't just bring me up for anybody. So I was put on clarinet. I couldn't play it very well yet in the front line, and then I just playing the Chuck Chucks.
The Chuck Chucks?
Yeah, you know what Chuck Chucks are? Well, if the band's playing the Blue Danube, for instance, la da 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 da, chuck chuck chuck, la 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 da 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 da, chuck chuck chuck. See?
How many musical instruments did you learn to play?
11. 11 different ones, but because there was 17 boys in the band, and you become a man when you reach the age of 18, and they're all on different instruments. And I was on clarinet, as you know. Chuck chuck, you know what a chuck chuck is.
I know what a chuck chuck is.
And but after a while you become bored with the same instrument, so you borrow another bloke's trumpet, and he borrows your clarinet, then you bit of a trombone, and then the violin and banjo. I was in the string orchestra, and I was in the 10th Royal Hussars, riding horses. Right, oh God, yeah. And even then I got laughs, but I didn't mean to. Like, you know, we were exercising 2 horses one day, one on either side, and the sergeant shouted out, "Follow me!" And that was fun because we followed him doing everything. And I was riding this horse and holding one on each side with the reins, and we came to a big hedge to jump, and my horse refused to jump, and the other 2 went over, and I was honestly, I've never heard such a laugh. All the blokes were falling off the horses laughing.
In 1940, at the age of 25, at a naffy entertainment night during the dance routine, Wisdom stepped down from his position in the orchestra pit and started shadowboxing.
I had become the flyweight champion of the British Army in India, and I used to do shadowboxing with an imaginary opponent then, you know, and I let the imaginary opponent hit me. And all the blokes used to laugh. They called the entertainment officer in to see me, and the entertainment officer came in one day and watched me doing all that, and he said, "Wisdom, that is in the concert party." And I was in the concert party. When I left the army, war was over, I went to Collins Music Hall in Islington, saw the manager there. He said, "What do you want?" I said, "I'd like to go on the stage." He said, "Oh, don't be silly. The variety of theatres are closing all over the country." He said, "You don't stand a chance. Forget it." But I wouldn't listen to him. I took a room nearby, and I became that man's shadow for 3 weeks. I mean, if he was in the bar and he lifted a pint of beer to his mouth, my arm was under his elbow. Until eventually he said, "Look," he said, "if I let you go on First House on Monday and you're no good, will you promise to go away and leave me alone?" And I said, "Yes, I promise." And I went on First House Monday, and it worked.
Wisdom made his debut as a professional entertainer at the age of 31. His rise to the top was phenomenally fast. Initially the straight man to David Nixon.
But it booked me summer season at the Spa Theatre, Scarborough. I was sharing a dressing room with a conjurer. He said to me, "Tell you what, Norman." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, when I invite somebody to come up from the audience to help me to do a trick, if it's you," he said, "then you come up and we can get some laughs." I went into town and I bought a little tight-fitting grey suit from a sort of an Oxfam type of shop for 30 shillings, and a little cap for 1 shilling. And I went on dressed in that outfit, and it became known as the Gump. That conjurer's name was David Nixon. Lovely man. I owe a lot to him.
Wisdom made a series of low-budget star vehicle comedies for the Rank organisation, beginning with Trouble in Store in 1953.
Don't laugh at me, 'cause I'm a fool. it's true, yes, I'm a fool. No one seems to care. I'd give the world to share my life with someone who really loves me. I see them all falling in love, but my lucky star hides up above. Someday maybe my star will smile on me. Don't laugh at me, 'cause I'm a fool. I'm not good looking, I'm not too smart. I may be foolish, but I've got a heart. I love the flowers, I love the sun, but when I try to love the girls, they laugh at me and run. Don't laugh at me, 'cause I'm a fool. No one seems to care. I'd give the world to share my life with someone who really loves me. I see them all falling in love, but my lucky star hides up above. Someday maybe my star will smile on me. Don't laugh at me, 'cause I'm a fool.
The film earned him a BAFTA award for the most promising newcomer to film in 1954. It was the second most popular film at the British box office in 1954, and exhibitors voted him the 10th biggest star at the box office the same year. His films' cheerful, unpretentious appeal made them the direct descendants of those made a generation earlier by George Formby. Never highly thought of by critics, they were very popular with domestic audiences, and Wisdom's films were among Britain's biggest box office successes of their day. They were also successful in some unlikely overseas markets, helping Rank stay afloat financially when their more expensive film projects were unsuccessful. Wisdom's second film as a star was One Good Turn in 1955.
I won't go to bed till Norman sings to us. No, will I? No, will I?
All right, well, what do you want me to sing then?
The step song, Norman. Yes, the step song. Yes.
All right. Take a step in the right direction. Turn your eyes to the skies of blue. If a signpost should say you'll be happy that way, that's the way for you. Take a step in the right direction. Walk along with a song or two. Give a smile to the sun and you'll find that it's fun, for the sun will smile back at you. Just wear a rainbow in your hair and sunbeams in your eyes. Find a million dreams to share, and you'll grow up healthy, wealthy and wise. You will make every day perfection if you try to be good and true. Take a step in the right direction, and the whole world will belong to you. Just wear a rainbow in your hair and sunbeams in your eyes. Find a million dreams to share, and you'll grow up healthy, wealthy and wise. You will make every day perfection if you try to be good and true. Take a step in the right direction, and the whole world will belong to you.
One Good Turn was the 7th most popular movie in 1955 in Britain. He made a cameo role As Long as They're Happy in 1955, then returned in A Man of the Moment in 1955. He was the 6th most popular star of 1955. Wisdom was a window cleaner in Up in the World in 1956. Wisdom worked in a jewellery store in Just My Luck 1957. The box office receipts of the last few films had declined from previous Wisdom films, but The Square Peg in 1959, an army comedy, reversed the trend and was one of the year's biggest hits.
There was one particular character I know. It was a German general, and that was a very straight part. Paddy Carstairs knew, it was obvious that he thought that it was going to be a failure, so he just watched from a distance.
Whatever are you doing here dressed up like that, Pitkin? What? It's very ingenious, I must say. You're a credit to the borough.
What is to say? Pig dog?
Nothing. I'm very sorry. Nothing at all.
Ah, so you are making joke.
Paddy Carstairs walked over after he shouted, "Cut!" He walked over, just walked up to me and kissed me. On the cheek, I may add, but nevertheless, he was so pleased with it.
It proved that he could do something quite different from what people expected of him, and he was extremely good in it. When he had to sing with Hattie Jakes, Ungeduld, Schubert song, I mean, he looked like a seal having fish thrown at him with his mouth open. But it showed really what more there could be with him.
There Was a Crooked Man in 1960 was an attempt to change Wisdom's image away from the rank organisation. The Bulldog breed in 1960 was more conventional. The film also starred a young Michael Caine, who later recalled he did not enjoy working with Wisdom because he wasn't very nice to the support part actors. Wisdom remained the 10th biggest star at the box office. Wisdom was in The Girl on the Boat in 1961 from a novel by P.G. Wodehouse. A second film away from the rank formula, On the Beat in 1962 as a car cleaner, and A Stitch in Time in 1963 in which he was cast as an apprentice butcher, returning him to the regular format. The Early Bird in 1965, his first colour film, had Wisdom as a milkman.
Back early, aren't you, Pitkin?
Yeah.
What's there in all these full bottles? I'm just sold, any?
Now, Mr. Grimsdown, Consolidated Dairies, with whom we are in opposition, have infiltrated.
Have done what?
Infiltrated into Rossington, Cartwright, and Wood Street. But it's
Yes,
all right.
but
It's
no
all
one
right.
we-
It's all right. You have got nothing to worry about because I have just recaptured Blenheim, Portchester, and Porthouse Road.
Aye, but that's not good enough, Pitkin. You've got to do better than that.
But what are you talking about? They've got an electric boat that tears uphill like a bomb. Now, you can't expect Nellie to gallop uphill full stretch with a full load now, can you?
You've got a whip, haven't you?
Nellie? No, I have not. You'll have to think of something else.
In October 2004, Wisdom announced he would retire from the entertainment industry on his 90th birthday. That's the 4th of February 2005. In 2007, Wisdom returned to acting in a short film called Espresso. On the 16th of January 2008, BBC Two aired Wonderland, The Secret Life of Norman Wisdom, aged 92 3/4.
I'd like to take this opportunity of saying thanks awfully for looking at me, and have a happy time. And I'm going now. Bye-bye. That's to the blokes. And for the birds, it's... Oh, ta-da.
That was a tribute to Norman Wisdom.